Hey, everybody, welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm your host, Ken Somerville, my co-host and good friend, Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. Today, we're talking about natural pest control, a topic we've talked about on a few different shows, and it's something that really is important for you guys to understand how to treat pests naturally and get by. I do want to start off with thanking Goathead Gardens. He's one of the people that signed up on the join button on YouTube and become a defender of the biology. Thanks, Goathead. Much appreciate what you do, brother. Andy, you said hello to everybody. You said it's me, Billy, and Lily's saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And go ahead, cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here, brother. Andy, take it away on natural pest control.
Okay, so in my book, natural pest control, in my Don't Panic, It's Organic book, the chapter on pest control. This shows you how radical I've gotten in the last few years, because the books that I've always written have been very practical. Like this particular one, basically talks about some of the things you can do for immediate help, right? What you can do now that will help control these things. And some of these are really cool, basic ones that not too many people understand and know. It's like I cover, cold brew coffee. It's absolutely amazing tool. Organic cold brew coffee in terms of controlling bugs and diseases. It's acidic. The coffee has iron in it, calcium, magnesium. The three things are really very needed for plants more than nitrogen. Then I also cover one of my favorite is garlic spray. By the way, do not want to spray garlic and coffee together.
Okay, why not? Why would that be detrimental?
Oh man, I got so sick. I didn't know if I should drink it or vomit or what. I'm going, what is going on here? And it's like, and I sprayed the place, and I think I got sick from having my body smell the coffee and smell the garlic. And so you don't want to do that. That would be it should say in this book, do not mix garlic and coffee together.
Okay, so it's just you that doesn't like the smell. Somebody else might actually love it then.
Actually love it. I have so many different customers that love the garlic. And so when I spray people, especially Italian, the guy came out, oh, I love it, the garlic. And I have another book called How to Keep Mosquitoes from Biting You. It's actually one page.
Put garlic in your shoes.
There you go. There you go. And you smell like garlic, That garlic is very, very powerful. The sense of smell in nature is very, very powerful tool to use to control, because the bugs are keyed into not only do they see, but they smell you. They smell it. And if it smells right to them, they're going to go after it. And so I've always learned, there's a long-term and short-term solution. Okay, the long-term always goes back to the soil biology. That takes a while. And that's why when I started doing my services, I keyed into foliar spraying. If you don't know what foliar spraying, you spray through the leaves and through the trunks. They absorb it instantly. They absorb it. Plenty of onion and garlic. Thank you, Silly. Send it to me. And it's
I'm gonna eat it later after the show. Okay.
Yeah. So I learned right off the bat that you have to do two things. One, you have to understand the real reason why that plant is having this pest. Yeah. And a lot of times it's a very simple thing. A lot of times really very simple, because it's just a matter of stepping back and looking at it and say, well, gee, this plant is being attacked because it's obvious. Like I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I first started doing house calls, there's a lady, a family, and they had two trees, one on either side of their house. And one tree was totally healthy and the other tree wasn't. And what I keyed in right away is one tree was sitting next to a spigot which was dripping all the time, water, dripping all the time. It was flooding the whole area over there, basically on a regular basis. And that was, for me, that was like, well, maybe we should fix that, right?
Yeah.
Because one tree was doing just fine, no water, it was getting a little bit of water, and it was happy, big and everything, but the other one's sick. You can see the ants climbing up and down the tree like crazy. The answer was saying, we need to, it's ready recycle. We're going to recycle this here tree.
Yeah.
By the way, what is it? OCT?
CT growers.
Yeah, you guys grow black garlic by any chance? Because I'm starting some black garlic. It's a little bit of a catchy thing because some people say you make black garlic, or that's how you bake it or cook it or something. Other people say no, you buy the black garlic and grow it from seeds. So I ordered some black garlic seeds, and I'm going to see if they come up as black garlic. So when I started doing this a long time ago, I didn't know about the real reasons. I was like everybody else. I went to the store and I says, okay, my plants have this. What can I spray on it, right? Or my plants have that. What can I spray on it? So I was keying into the spraying aspect. I was never going. They would say, of course, you got to spray this chemical, that chemical. I go, well, do you have anything? So I would go across the street from the nursery into a grocery store and walk around the shelves and look at those things that I can spray. Because that was where my head was. I said, well, if I'm going to spray something, so I knew for a fact, for example, soap. So organic gardening is old as people, right? Because they started off organic gardening. They didn't start chemical gardening. They were organic gardeners right from the very beginning. Whether they dealt with nature, their garden was all organic. Everything they grew there didn't have chemical fertilizer, none of that stuff. So soap is one of the things that a organic farmer makes. He would make his own soap.
Yeah.
From different animal parts. You make soap, And soap was a basic tool. Same thing with coffee, same thing with garlic. These are things that on a farm you grow them, not only for eating, but you also grow them for pest control and disease control as well. So I started keying into those things, and then I learned there are some things like milk. Milk absolutely wonderful to use because milk has two things that are essential for a healthy plant. That's calcium. Calcium is more important than nitrogen. It's a key building block. If you don't have calcium and you don't have carbon, you're not going to get very far in letting the soil do what it has to do.
If you don't have the right building blocks, then you can't build healthy cells.
That's right. So it's like a condo. If you can't put together a good condo, you can't have anybody move in because there's nothing there for them to move into, So I learned right from as a young kid that I could spray my plants with various different natural things that I would buy in the grocery store. And in those days, I swear, I don't remember there being organic labeling. There was just milk, coffee.
Yeah.
So I would buy them, and I didn't even know that there was chemicals in those things, but I would use them in the 6th grade, 9th, up all the way through the 9th grade. I didn't really key into the organic aspect of things, maybe because they were coming out with them in the 60s, towards the end of the 60s. They were doing more, hippies were more into organic, everything organic, right, natural. So I think, I don't know when the certification started, the whole thing, organic thing started, but early 70s, somewhere in the 70s was where people were starting to hear about. Because I remember Organic Gardening magazine was really big. And there's another one called Acres USA was really big. And you see these organic farmers, and they didn't have organic certifications. Like I said, I don't remember exactly when that started to happen. Somewhere along the lines, organic certification appeared, OMRI appeared on the scene, and people were keying into that. But it was like 1 out of 1,000 people was into it. It wasn't like the majority of people just didn't understand. They didn't seem to care. Like the Victory Gardens, they weren't organic. They used whatever chemicals they can get the little hands on to spray, And I learned that from experience because I have a Victory Garden. And I said, well, it's not organic. No, it's a Victory Garden. We're going to spray whatever. So what I want to do is I can go over some of these things that are really cool in terms of producing a natural tool that you can make. Soap is wonderful. You have so many different varieties of soap you can use. The garlic.
Now, Andy, I have a question. Okay, the soap, what pests is that good for? Like ants, aphids. There's so many different pests. What would you use soap on? And what would you use coffee on? What would you use milk on? Can you give us an idea what you use it for?
So name a pest and you can use it. That's what's so good about this. It's not like, gee, I have to know which ones I can spray this coffee on, the cold brew coffee on, or this garlic on. I think a rule of thumb would be, for example, I'll give you another idea when not to spray garlic. You do not want to spray your roses with garlic, okay? Right? So that's an indicator. Well, I guess I use too much garlic because I can't smell the rose. All I smell is the garlic. That's no.
Okay.
I planted garlic under the roses. I figured that repels. Oh yeah, it repels, but you cannot smell a really wonderful scent of the roses. And some people it's good. For example, I was known for planting garlic and spraying garlic on fruit trees, whether it be apples, whether it be citrus, because they all work the same way. The garlic has sulfur, and the sulfur does a job on any insect, including beneficials. So you have to be careful what you spray. Bees don't like it as well either. They won't like the soap. They won't like the sulfur. So it's a process of. And when I was doing the citrus, for example, you can literally taste it in the orange. And the apple, you bite it, you go, oh, this is really. Because I actually liked it. The garlic taste, apples tasting like garlic was really a cool idea. But the bugs would leave them alone. The calipers would go, I don't think so. The squirrels would go, I don't think so. So,
yeah.
So what was that one? I missed that last one. That was a terpapatomas. Terpapatomas. Oh, you're making me sick. Terpapatomas.
Terpapatomas.
That's what I said.
Just saying hello, and we appreciate it. We always appreciate the hellos. Yeah. Serena, we appreciate the jokes and everything as well.
So these things are like universal. They can be used for both diseases and pests because the soaps are as an oil. The oil will coat the disease and it will also control the pest. So somewhere along the lines, I stopped using all these things and started using the very same thing that I was spraying plants with, which is soil biology. Yeah, so I realized that the soil biology can be sprayed instead of soap. It does just as good a job, as even better, because the key to making the soil biology, the key to using the biology of this is to understand that what the biology does in the first place that makes it so wonderful for diseases and pests. And I talk a lot about minerals. It's all about minerals. So here you have something that it's all about minerals. The biology is all about minerals. They have this system of producing the mineral you need because they will create a biologist, right? A little soil biologist that specifically will go and produce that mineral, which is so cool, right? You know what I mean? So people can say, well, I'm going to buy a certain amount of this, a certain amount of that calcium. They said, you don't need to worry about that. You should give everybody a good blended diet, all the biology you need, as many different types of biology in one mix because they all work together. And then make sure you give them all the trace minerals they need. I give 96 trace minerals. Let them go for it. And because I have one customer, I want to know exactly what's missing in my soil. Okay.
Life.
So right. Well, she's a biodynamic expert. Like I do that.
Yeah.
Because I think that the person who was really a biodynamic expert, they wouldn't be having the problem because they're missing something, right? And I think, unfortunately, what's the most obvious thing is the first thing that they miss. And I've been telling people that almost forever. And now I'm in the corner with a flag, instead of saying the end is near, because, it's the water, right? The city water is the most obvious thing that's going on wrong right off the bat. People using the city water all the time to sprinkle, 3 or 4 times a week, constantly, a year after year after year. That is going to destroy. As a matter of fact, you're not even supposed to drink it, right? You know what happens if you drink city water?
the biology in your stomach dies, and then you can't digest properly, and you can't build healthy cells, and
and
it's
then you
killing
die.
you
You die
slowly.
horribly of this disease or that disease.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on in the biology of the soil. Because you don't really, because I asked this person, I said, then he says, why do I need to have a water filter for the property? I says, well, do you have a water filter for? Oh yeah, we have to have a water filter for the kitchen and take a bath with water filter. Well, that's you clean the water for that, but why aren't you doing the same thing for the soil?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's nothing wrong with the water for the soil, because if you destroy the soil's ability to function, there's your problem.
And because you can add all the minerals you want, but if you don't have the biology there to break those molecules apart, then it's not going to do anything for your plant, because without that biology, like if you need calcium and you're having to take it out of a carbon molecule to get that particular part of that molecule, you have to have the biology to break it apart. If you don't have the biology, it can't produce that, and then you don't have the building blocks. And like Andy, I love that you're always bringing up adding the minerals, because those are the building blocks that are necessary for all health in the plants, in our bodies, etc. And it's a key aspect is having both the building blocks and the biology to use them. It's like, I'm going to build my house. I got all the lumber here, but I don't have a carpenter. Sorry.
I don't have any nails. I don't have any.
Exactly.
And these they're so obvious for me. I mean, it's like I'm going, well, this is obviously what's wrong, and nobody wants to pay attention to it. Right? Nobody's even acknowledging it. Every place I go to nowadays, so I have a contract now, because all throughout the year I've been saying, my business is actually an educational business. It's under educational. Don't panic. It's organic. It's an educational institute. Okay, it's educational. And my whole thing was, okay, the way I want to teach you is by doing it. We're going to do this together. You're going to do this, and I'm going to do this. So I'm going to become with my magic elixir. You're going to buy the best compost I can tell you to do. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to start learning how to deal with the soil, because it's really very basic, very simple thing you have to do. Stop with the chemicals, right? Stop with the chemicals already. Right? Yeah. You're not going to heal your plant, your diseases. All the diseases, all these pests are keyed into the soil. It's the soil. The diseases are right there already. The pests are keyed. They're born in the soil. Everything's soil born. Okay. And if the soil is not functioning right, those plants are not going to be getting what they need, and they're going to be getting the pests and disease. That's the core thing you have to understand. What am I going to spray on that? So it's okay to say, what am I going to spray? Because that's a short-term help. I need to do something right now for this plant. It's going to die. I get calls almost on a regular basis. These trees are dying.
Well, and that's where you're foliar spraying, and you're feeding the outside to keep it alive. But then if they don't, fix the root cause, which is the soil and the life in the soil, they're never going to heal their plant totally. It's just a vicious cycle.
A perfect example is, okay, so when you have an ambulance, what do they call it, where they're doing something to save you immediately, where they put you on the thing, they put
IV.
Yeah, what's the name for it?
Intravenous.
Well, so if you only were to eat intravenously and bypass your stomach, you're going to die. Even if that's the best nutrition in the world coming in through there, being given to your body says, wait a minute, stomach's not working, we're out. Yeah, we're done. See, I mean, you can't do that. And so I've learned from experience, because many times I would say, okay, I'm going to get some organic compost and some organic fertilizer, put it in the ground, and we're looking at the tree going, I put it there, it's all set. No, it takes time to heal. Everything has to be rebuilt. So the tree is there, but if you had a microscopic eyes, you will look at the root system. There's no root hairs.
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
The high nitrogen and chemical fertilizers and the salts destroy the root hairs. And the root hairs are where the certain specific type of soil biology live that transfer everything from the soil biology that's in the soil to the root hairs, and the root hairs are absorbed into the tree. That's the delivery system.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work right away because you can't. It has to be rebuilt. The plant has to somehow get the building blocks they need, because they will. You give the plant the building blocks, the plant will start to build, right? It'll start to repair itself. But eventually it'll say, well, wait a minute, because the root systems are constantly being attacked. So you can't repair something. If your hand is in the fire, you can't repair it until you take your hand out of the fire. You have to take your hand out of the fire and say, okay, now I can fix it. In the fire, it's kind of constantly, I'm doing all the best drugs and everything. No, your hand is going to burn. And so I look at it and see, I've learned over the years to be really, really, really simple about this stuff, because I got tired of trying to explain to people what's going on. So I tell them, okay, you're a little girl, a little boy. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to understand. And so the thing that people have to realize is that, and so this one lady was there 20 years, and says, what have you used chemical-wise? Oh, I'm not using anything. I got it out. Okay, 20 years, my gardener was using Roundup for 20 years or so. Fertilizer with Roundup in it, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned when I first started doing this is really interesting, because I didn't have a machine or anything. I had basically a fertigation. I didn't even know about the fertigation unit, because those are really cool. Anybody can go out and get a fertigation unit, modify it a little bit, hook it up to your hose, and you have yourself a little spraying rig, right? But I've learned when I first had a spraying rig, and I was learning about my biology that I would use. One day I had a brand new customer, and it was everything is usually the same thing: nutritional deficiency right off the bat, right? You see, these things are dying. They're dying for several different reasons, not just nutrition, because they're choking. The root systems are not. In Florida, it's a little different. You have more soil available to you, so it's kind of hard to screw up something. You have 20 feet of soil, right? It's really hard to screw up. So it's just a simple matter of making some adjustment, stop the chemicals, and control the water. The soil comes right back because the biology is there. But when you have clay that's not even soil, and the root systems are, because they were growing, imagine they were growing in rich soil, and all of a sudden that soil turns into clay and it hardens up. It's called hard pan for a reason. Hard pan. That means air doesn't go down there, water doesn't go down there, of course nutrition doesn't go down there. So the root systems are dying. As the root systems die, the rest of the tree goes with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I first get to this house, and I said, okay, because he wanted to switch. And I think he wanted to switch because he knew that he was making himself and his family sicker. Everybody was sick. Nobody could figure out why. I said, well, maybe you should stop using these chemicals around your house that you're walking on. You're walking barefooted and you're using this chemical. You know, that's not such a good idea, because your body is like a tree, except it walks around. And so one of the things I found out that happens is that, and I still have to deal with now, like I have a new customer. This is slightly different. This person is more biodynamic in her method. At least she managed 20 years ago to stop bringing any chemicals in, but the process she didn't change the water system that was coming in. I mean, if you buy organic fertilizer and you dump it on dead soil, that organic fertilizer is not going to work. Organic fertilizer relies on living biology to work. Duh. Yeah. See, it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? That's why if you a really good organic fertilizer, like I bought something the other day, it's got blood meal in it. It's got earthworm castings in it. So they put in some of their own biology into it, right? So that it helps to bring it back. That's one reason why it helps soil to bring it back. I've learned from experience that you have to have a complete army. You can't say, okay, I just want the bombardiers and the airplane pilots. I want everybody. See what I mean? And you don't micromanage them. You say go for it. You give them everything they need, and they will produce for you. And all you have to do is take control of the things that causes damage.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's the big thing. And like you said earlier, Andy, it's about education. You're you're going out and you're educating people. And that's why we come on the show, and guys, I know Serena asked if this is in every 2 weeks. No, it's supposed to be every week, but I was sick last week and Andy was sick the week before. So we try to do shows every week. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I had a sex change and I changed my mind. Okay,
so yeah.
I had to change it back again. I was like, "Hello, everybody." I was like, "Never mind."
Oh yeah, I think with that will go to a question from Serena here. If there was a gas line explosion in the county, what should people plant to detox the soil? Because she was saying they actually had to evacuate because of the fumes, etc. Well, that's going to come out of the air. And she wants to know what she can do to help to detoxify that soil, plants, biology.
Here's a simple solution. Whatever weed wants to grow, let it. Mother Nature is already on the job. Over here where we have the Pacific Palisades and they're burned down, you'd be surprised at what's coming up, and the stupid people are pulling them up. We have to detox the soil. Well, guess what what's happening right now? Those weeds are detoxing the soil.
Now, how about in her garden? Because she's got a bunch of raised beds and stuff. What do you think would be something quick and efficient? And I would say, spray it with a whole bunch of biology. That's going to break everything down on a molecular level. And it's going to clean things up.
So if in a raised bed, if you have a garden in a raised bed, one of the things advantages of doing a raised bed is that you can rotate the soil. So if you have like 4 raised beds, one of them you either take the soil out, compost the whole thing, and put it back in again. That's the fastest way to clean the toxicity there, because you can just literally replace the soil, run it through your compost system. The best way to detoxify stuff is have more biology available, more and more and more. We call it more roots in the ground. So you want to everything that wants to grow, let it grow, but you need to have a good source of compost. Make your own. That's the best. And did you make compost? You know what bokashi is?
I know what bokashi is, but
tell everybody.
Everybody. Bokashi, basically, it's a wheat bran with the effective microorganisms that you're putting it into a pail, your vegetables, your leftovers, etc. Then you put the wheat bran mix on top. It starts breaking it down, and again, it's all about the biology that's breaking everything down. And Andy, I know Serena said her roommate's going to be getting her a couple of composters. So that's something that everybody can do at the end of the year. Take all your cuttings, throw it in the compost or recompost. But it's really the compost process, guys. It's all about the biology, because it's the biology that's breaking that organic material down at a molecular level. It's taking every cell that was in the plant, breaking it down, breaking the components, the building blocks out of every single cell. That's what's creating your good, healthy food for your garden when you're putting that compost out. But don't forget, put your compost out, mulch on top. Don't let the compost dry out, because then you're defeating the purpose of having the biology in the compost.
You become like an excellent cook. You want to have a full meal, you know how when you're eating right, you have everything in there that your body wants to eat, not just one specific thing. See, and that's why the biology is such a easy thing to do. It's such an easy peasy thing to do. You don't even have to think about it. Just grab everything that you can think of that has biology in it, mix them all together, and then let Mother Nature do it. That's what compost is really all about. That's the real reason why we make compost. It's the concentrated biological mix that we make. It's so active that even the worms are going, we gotta move here. This is too much for us.
Well, and that's the thing is, you can have just paper in your worm bin that's being broken down, or you can start with a healthy compost, and then you're making what's called vermicompost, which is taking it to a next level. And what do you do? Do you know about compost starters and accelerators? it's all about biology. You can use a lot of different things to get your compost going.
So
Mainly a lot of them, it's about the nitrogen that you're adding in, and alfalfa. You can get pellets of alfalfa and throw that in. It's going to start the process of getting the bacteria going, and that's the base level of your compost, is getting that bacteria started to break everything down. But most of the time it's about nitrogen.
Most people aren't lucky enough to live on a farm, because
Yeah.
then on a farm you have so many sources to add to your compost. It's absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention you may have 20 different types of animals. That is the best. You have llama, chicken, rabbit. When I was making my compost, which was the best compost in the whole world, everybody was going, "What the heck you got in it?" I had elephant manure in it. I had llama, I had goat, rabbit, chicken, horse, cow. You name the different types of creatures in it that would have, because each of them have their own specific biology. Blend them all together in a proper way, because that's the trick. Is you want to learn the carbon to nitrogen ratio. You don't want to have ashes. You want to have it hot enough to kill the diseases, but you want it biologically alive. And one of the reasons I love running to a grocery store or farmer's market, there's so much biology that I can come home with. It's like really absolutely ridiculous that I could use. The bokashi is one way. That's why I learned Korean farming methods, how to transfer my seedling from over there to over there. I learned about rice. Rice is a very, very wonderful way to increase your biology of your compost. I started. An old lady was telling me about making compost one year, and she bought like 10 pounds of rice. Honey, I'm going to show you what I do with my compost. And she just made a layer. She would layer it, right? And she would have a layer of rice. This is going to go onto the layer. And she only did one layer, but you could not find the rice if you knew it was there, because it immediately changes. It just gets eaten right up and it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's why I keyed into earthworms. The leachate, the liquid I get from there, is an excellent biological. Not clear. You should see what my garden is doing now, simply because I take so in my compost setup, excuse me, where's it? Oh, look. Oh, honey. Oh, no, never mind. What happened? Did I miss something?
Well, somebody was saying are emus and camels good for the farm? And yes, any livestock is going to be good, because every type of livestock has different biology in their stomach to break what they're eating down. And when they poop on and pee everywhere, that's adding biology into the system. And the more, like Andy said, he had elephant, he had all these different types of manures in his compost. It's about the building blocks. That's why we preach about adding the rock dusts, etc., and a little bit of salt, because it's supplying building blocks.
Right.
And without those building blocks, it's like building your house out of toothpicks instead of 2x4s. So what's going to be healthier? What's going to stand up to the wind?
I want to add a few more things about anything. So, and it's like I learned right off the bat from Brother Steiner's system. He was not into manure, because see, if you use manure, you have to learn how to really destroy the pathogens, and if you don't, you're just going to keep passing it on again. And you also could get E. coli from it. So if you make compost and you know how to rotate, because if you have a bin system or if you have a pile system, the idea is to rotate the mixture so that it gets heat, goes through the process of heat, because the outer layer is colder than the inner layer. And so a lot of people don't know how to rotate that, and what happens is they use manure. That's the other problem with using manure. You really have to know how to rotate it, how to aerate it, how to make it heat up. I had a thermometer that tells me how hot it got. It has to get a certain temperature. Not all of it, because you can't get all of it that way, even though I tried. There's a way.
You'll start a fire if it gets too hot.
So there was a guy in Florida had the world's largest compost. I had caught on fire, and it was burning for weeks and weeks and weeks, and nothing they could take and put it out. I said, well, I guess you got that one a little bit too hot.
So, just a little.
So a rule of thumb for me also too is that I don't use predators manure, because predators manure you can catch a it's not a caterpillar, it's a it's a squirmy thing.
Squirmy thing. But hey, you got to have a happy belated birthday, Andy. So and guys, if you don't know, Andy's birthday was just a few days ago. I'm not going to tell you how young he is because you'd all be embarrassed.
He's my next door neighbor.
Oh, well, there you go.
Glad He's the one that just turned on the sprinkler system all over the house. It's like a weird thing. You're sitting here going, it's raining. Is it raining? Thank you, Rob. So you have to, I would stay away from meat eaters. All the things I've mentioned, none of them are meat eaters, because it's very difficult to heat up the whole thing to the pathogen that humans can get. So if you don't totally destroy that pathogen, you can pass it on to yourself and you'll get that. So I would probably stay away from, lion, the tiger poop, any of those things, that, because when I went to the zoo, you want lion poop and tiger poop? I said, no, thank you. I'll stick to the deer, the sheep, the rabbit, the chickens, the goats, pigs. I might not even do pigs, because pigs is too really close to human. So you can also get this parasites that way.
Yeah.
But other than that, you want to get a blend. My favorite was llamas. Oh, I have such a wonderful. Because llamas are like, yeah. If you ever had rabbit poop, they're little pellets, right?
Yeah.
Really cool.
Llamas, alpacas. We used to actually raise alpacas, so.
Yes, the little pellets. So these pellets are very high concentrate biology pills. Seriously, they're like. And the llamas are a little bit bigger because they're bigger than the rabbits. Yeah, right. So they have a little more things going on with there. And the rabbits is cool because you can test it, you can see it has a certain type of biology, a certain amount of nitrogen. But the llama stuff, the circles around these things, because their biology, you can take one little llama pellet, throw it in a gallon of water, come back the next day, and the whole thing is like talking to you. What the heck's going on here?
Hey, it's having a party, man.
So what's so cool about it is that when I would make my compost, normally I have a shredder. I would shred it. That's part of the secret. Rather than wait 60, 90 days for things to break down, I would break it down right away. Shred, make a pile. Within 30 days, it'll be heating up. You have to rotate it. But what I did was I add the llama manure towards the end. I would dry it. Knock, who's there? Irish, happy birthday. Irish.
I wish you a happy
happy birthday, Andy. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to talk about it because I decided I'm never going to have another birthday again. So if I ignore it, maybe I'll just be stuck in time here. But anyway,
I'm 23 and holding.
So
you got another statement here. I buy Uncle Jim's worms every year for my compost pile and garden. The only thing with compost piles, guys, make sure they're cooled off. They're not hydrophilic or thermophilic, sorry, before you put the worms in, or you're just going to kill your worms.
They kill the worm.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, Serena, will a meat thermometer work, or do you need a soil thermometer for your compost pile?
Well, the temperature is the same.
It's just
the big ones you can stick in for meat. But soil thermometer actually make them a little longer, so you can stick them in further. You know what I mean?
I've seen them 3 or 4 feet long, Andy, for the compost thermometer.
That's right. You stick them all the way in there. When I was in Puerto Rico, my family had a farm on my mother's side, and a massive compost pile, and they put a pressure cooker into the pile. So when it got so hot, the steam would come out. They would take it out. That's how they would cook in the pressure cooker and the compost. I always remember that to this day. I'm going, what the heck happened there? And then they also did a very interesting system. They would dig a trench and it would compost right in the ground, cover it up, and that's where their garden would be next year. Let the compost do its thing. But making the key to pest control, it's the same thing with disease, is that first you have to understand what is wrong with the foundation. That's the key. You can't fix the house without looking at, make sure your foundation is solid. If your foundation is good, you say, well, okay, well, that's not the problem, something else. Maybe the door slant or whatever. But if you can't, the whole house is going to come tumbling down. So that's what
I have to bring this up. My kitchen is not sharing itself with my garden. So I can't take tools out of the kitchen to use in the garden. I get in trouble. I have to buy separate things.
Well, fortunately, I live by myself. The tools are harmonious with the kitchen and the garden. I go back and forth with them. Nobody's telling me that I can't use my spoon in the garden.
Hey, Andy, I'm sorry, man, but happy wife, happy life. Okay, so I got to keep Lily happy.
Yeah.
So I can be happy.
I was married for 42 years, and the key to the happiness is my wife was always happy. When she was unhappy, I was unhappy too. We had to fix it, figure out what was wrong.
Yeah, I keep picturing, I have a bunch of cast iron frying pans, and when my wife is unhappy, I think, is she close to a cast iron frying pan?
Yeah, I know. I was lucky in that we never fought or anything, but I know some people in my family on both Cuban and Puerto Rican side, there are major fights.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Andy, do you have an answer for this one? If you have ostrich, what would you do with the eggs? I'm not familiar with ostrich really at all. So
I think you're supposed to eat the eggs. That's why you have ostriches. Ostrich eggs are big, giant eggs. They're perfectly good to eat, as far as I understand. I've never had ostrich egg, but they're giant eggs, and you can eat them, or you can make them have babies and have more ostriches and sell them. That's what I would do with them. Is did you see what I put in the chat?
In his chat, so she bounced. Serena is bouncing back from your YouTube channel to our YouTube channel.
I can't see anything that happens in my YouTube channel.
Yeah, and Serena, if you're putting it in the chat, the live chat here, which you are, then it is available for Andy to see. Sometimes he does follow the chat, but everything from both channels and from Facebook, etc., is actually does show up in our live chat that we see in the back end. You guys don't see it, but we do see it.
So what is it that I missed?
We just don't catch it.
So what is it that I missed?
I have
no idea. Huh?
Yeah. She said, did say thank you. All right, thanks. I wondered about that since I have people saying that a meat thermometer is just as effective, and it is, because it's a thermometer is a thermometer is a thermometer.
Exactly right. It doesn't have special for meat or special for compost. The only difference with the compost ones is a little longer because you want to get it into the the pile. And
you want to get it into that middle of your
pile. Yeah. The middle is the temperature of the heat. The outside, the further outside is cooler and cooler and cooler. You have to learn how. That's one reason why I like using the bin system. I basically have. You need to have 4 by 4 by 4 by 4 4-foot square in order for it to get hot enough. Anything smaller, those little tumblers are not going to heat up. You're going to be just. So if your tomato have a disease and you're making compost and you put it in your little composter and then you put it out, you're just spreading the disease out again. It's not going to control the disease. It has to get hot enough. 4 feet by 4 feet is the minimum size you can do. So if you have like 5 of those, you just take it out. The one lady says, I've been making compost for years and it's never getting done. Well, she's refused to have in bins. She had one giant setup, one layer all the time, putting more new stuff on top, putting new stuff on top. Never going to get done because it's constantly
she's never letting it finish.
Not letting it finish. Just adding new stuff to it, adding new stuff to it. When is it going to get done? Well, maybe you should only do a little bit here and then turn it over. So I'll be seeing her soon. I will take it out and dump it all into the next one. And in the process of doing that, add some live compost to it. The other thing they were doing was they're watering the compost down a lot. And of course, the water's got the city water in it, which kills us. That's another thing about water, right? Yeah. You can't make compost out of it if the city water is killing the biology. That you have the compost for. See, right? So it's a crucial thing. What experiments are you doing in the garden this year? you really want to know what experiments I'm doing in the garden? Oh my God. Well, one of the things I'm doing a lot of things. I'm growing saffron, learning how to grow saffron, right? I'm learning how to, I have all these kinds. So right now I'm doing a little bit of gopher treatment through various different systems. So what I decided to do is to plant. I have about 30 or 40 different kind of medicinal herbs. You name the herbs, I have it growing. And so what I do is they're all growing everywhere all throughout the garden. Then I'm planting in right amongst them. So the squirrels and the gophers cannot separate. I can eat that, but I shouldn't touch that. My poor cat, I told you, eat whatever you want to in the garden. So I introduced her to lemongrass. She nibbles on the lemongrass. Oh, she loves the lemongrass. She comes to me, the lemongrass. But she went and nibbled on some oregano. It was like, whoa, this is awful. So spearmint, oh, this is awful. So, and the other thing I'm doing, that not only am I growing the herbs, I'm making teas out of them and spraying them.
Yeah.
Spraying them back in the garden. And then I'm learning, I make my own biology. I have a different types of biological sprays that I make. Rice is one of them. I've been using that for centuries. Make my own little biological spray. So I added the tea. I add the liquid is actually the herb that I'm using with the milk biology to spray back onto the plants. Yeah. And a lot of creatures cannot. They don't like that. Let's see. A pennyroyal is one of them. Citronella is another one. Citronella is amazing, easy to grow. The other day I clipped a whole bunch, put it in the tub. I'm going, wow, this is nice. And so I make a tea, bring some water to a boil, put whatever. And you don't want to really mix them all up. My urge is to take some peppermint, spearmint, a little bit of everybody, put them in one big glob and thing, stir them all up, and say, okay, I'm going to spray this. So I'm trying to do one thing and see what it does. So the key is all of these are fragrant. They're very intense. Oregano, right? Spearmint. They affect the insect's ability to smell. Not just the insect, but the squirrel, the rats. They all have an incredible sense of smell. They smell it. They go, no, right? And so I'm planting. Today I planted some tomato in right amongst my oregano ground cover. I got this oregano that really grows like crazy. Dug a little hole, plant them in there. I noticed that the gophers go around. They don't dig through that. So I'm working on those aspects of things. Then I have, I'm starting a whole bunch of seeds. And the seed process is very difficult because you put it in the ground, they get eaten up by creatures. So I'm learning how to grow seeds in containers and move them out. Also how to protect them. True companion plantings. I plant garlic along with them, so I have other things that I'm hoping that will deter them, and sooner or later they'll figure it out. So what I'm doing with garlic, I'm actually getting crushed garlic, making crushed garlic. And then as a poultice, I'm putting it into the gopher tunnels. One day they shut it all out again, or planted it right around the base of a plant. I'm finding that the tomato plants, garlic is one of the best things to grow with them or to expose them to, because they'll smell the reek of garlic, and they get protected by the tomato plants. The tomato itself, the caterpillar won't come and eat it. Before the gopher took the whole plant, it was gone. So now I don't think he likes garlic. He doesn't like garlic at all. So I'm using right. So I'm learning how to grow a variety of different herbs, and of course my weeds are my guards. I have these amazing weeds. That's okay. We can't grow more than 10 foot tall. That's not going to work here.
Guys, that's actually a great thing on natural pest control is companion planting and bringing things in. I wanted to bring up Serena's question here. What can I plant in order to get parasitic wasps? And that's another thing for pest control, guys, is integrated pest management. And there are different breeds of insects that are going to be good in your garden to take out the parasitic, things that you don't want, like your aphids, etc. But do you know the answer to that question, Andy? Because I'm not sure.
So what I would do, it really depends on what part of the country you live as to what natural predators are available. So one of the things I would do is contact the Department of Agriculture or a local college, if it's an agricultural college, and you say, okay, I have parasitic wasps. What are the natural predators in my area?
No, she wants to get the
parasitic wasp. Right. So, but you can buy the parasitic wasp and let them loose on your property. That's not a problem. What you want to do is make sure they survive, because they may not survive in your areas. Maybe the cold kills them off, or maybe they're only available at certain times of the year or a certain type. If you want to text me, I'm happy to text you a place that actually sells them, and they would tell you if they survive there. I think, let me see, Arbico. That's the name of the company. They're in Texas.
Yeah, and then there's the gentleman we have on, Claude Roberts from Anitis Bioprotection. They're in Canada and the U.S. They do have the parasitic wasps as well. I think Lily is saying that top choices include sweet, Alcium, dill, fennel, cilantro, yarrow, feverfew, mountain mint, buckwheat.
These will attract them, right? They will attract them.
Yeah.
Right? So what I would do is I would literally buy a packet of them and let them loose, especially if you have any. They don't just go for these plants. They would go for any flowering plants, like the oregano, all the mints, all the herbs they love. They would love that. You just have to get the right variety for your area, because otherwise they will die. They won't survive very long. It's one thing if you have a greenhouse, you can let them grow in a greenhouse, but you just need to do a little research. What variety will grow from my area? As a matter of fact, you can do a search, it'll tell you what variety, because there are different varieties across the United States and Canada and other parts of the world that you can buy. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's against the law to buy certain parasitic from one country to ship it over here, that kind of stuff. You have to learn all those things as well. And in Canada, it's like another different country, so they have their own rules over there. And I don't know, because it's a cold environment, whether these will survive or not, or whether they have special varieties that grow there. That's what you have to do. What varieties will grow in my area, and then find out who sells it and buy it, and then maybe make little housing for them. There are lots of different ways you can keep them around, but they will eventually disappear and may even end up in your next door neighbor's house. I've learned that from experience. You cannot keep them inside. They was just, your parasites are over here. Your ladybugs are over here. Thank you. I go, yeah, great. Thank you very much. No problem. I've done that. I got really pissed at my ladybugs. What are you guys doing? They went across the street, and now they're all at another neighbor's place and having a wonderful time eating aphids and all kinds of stuff. And my place is like, they leave it alone. I go, that's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, these are natural animals. They're going to move around, unless you have an enclosed greenhouse that you never open up and they can never get back out. They're going to naturally flow with the life that's around them. But it's
they may just say we're going to Montana. We're going south. It makes us,
winter's coming. I'm heading to Texas. Okay,
they can do that. They can go up as high and that the air carry them. So that's not a hard thing to do. They can travel thousands of miles and they're gone. So you have to. So it's a tricky one, because you just can't keep them around. They will. There's no barriers for them. So what I would try to do is to again key into why the problem is there in the first place. There's always a solution there. You're not dealing with the law of cause and effect here. You're just trying to find something else that works. So you're not solving
the healthier your garden and your property is, it's going to automatically bring the predators into your garden that are going to take care of the problem. That's where it's all about the health of the entire system. That's right. Which is all about biology and building blocks.
So do you have a refractometer? Once you use a refractometer, you say, if I get the bricks to this level, I wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. So if you have, whatever it is you're growing, you want to learn what the healthy bricks level of that is. There's an ebook that'll give you some really good ideas and I've given those away. Easy enough. Just if you have a newsletter of mine, there's a little link there. Click here for the ebook, and I actually have all the different ebooks. I got 4 or 5 different ebooks that I can give away. My ebook, the remineralization of the planet ebook, the ebook all about the bricks level, the natural pest control alternatives to chemicals for the home garden. That's my ebook, and of course my Don't Panic, It's Organic. That's my ebook. And I normally sell them, but if you mention this show here, and I'll just email you right back, because it's a simple thing to add it to the email and send it to you. But the refractometer will give you a tool if you say, okay, I'm betting you don't have a refractometer, right? Say no.
Actually, no. Serena does have a refractometer. She mentioned it a few shows ago. Everybody's slowly getting these things, Andy, because we keep talking about them and how beneficial they are to know what's going on in your soil, in your garden. Because if you get a refractometer and your levels are like horrible, then all of a sudden, hey, I don't have the minerals. I don't have the biology that's going to use the minerals. So this is my foundation. And you talked about it, Andy, is having that foundation, and that soil biology is the foundation of all organic life on our planet, guys.
Let me tell you one more thing, really cool. So you have a plant that's getting diseases on it, right? Or a pest, right? You do a refractometer reading, you do a Brix reading, you say, okay, this is like 10, right? Spray it with your biology, wait 24 hours, test it again. Mm-hmm. Right off the bat, you're going to say, oh my God, this thing went from a 10 to a 20. Literally. Now, it won't be able to stay there. You see what'll happen? Because that'll wear off, and next thing you know, another 24 hours will go by, it'll drop down again, because it takes a while to heal. You see? And so what you're doing when you're doing the spraying is you're bypassing the system that's down there, the root system, and you feeding it directly. And it's absorbing it. And to what degree you can use it, because normally it has to get it from the roots. Mother Nature is the only one that can give you all these trace minerals in the right proportion and right. Don't think you're a chemist, you can blend it together, it doesn't work. But if you look at the refractometer reading, you'll go, wow, this plant has a pest disease, you name it, right? 10 refractometer reading. You wait 24 hours, do the reading again on the same time of day. You're going to see it's going to shoot up 10 degrees easily, especially if your biology is perfect. My biology will do that. I've done it so many times. I go spray before I spray a place. I do a Brix reading, then I spray it because it's in my neighborhood. I don't come back and do another reading. 2 days later, I do a reading. Boom, it's changed. As a matter of fact, one of the things that's happening now with Layton's compost, they apply it. 2 days later, people call me up. What happened to my tree? It's a bright green color. It just went green all by itself. If you were to do a Brix reading before that and after, you're going to see the difference. And that Brix reading will stay a little longer because the compost is doing its thing, but you still have to heal it. The way you can tell the plant is healed is the Brix level rises and it stays up there. It doesn't come down. It stays at that level.
Yeah. And Serena, you're not testing your soil for Brix reading. You're testing a leaf on your plant to get a Brix reading. It's not a soil test. But if you are using it for doing amendments, you're making compost, Serena, so you should be getting the biology in your compost. Hopefully you're doing a worm farm and you can add in a little bit of worm castings in your compost. That's another compost accelerator.
Make your biology and spray that. That's the fastest way you're going to get your plant. Probably what's happening is that your soil is not together yet. Something's wrong there, whether the pH is off, whether you're not doing everything that in terms of biology needs to be done in the soil. That's what I would key into. So take a Brix reading of the plant, make a tea from your compost, spray it, wait a few days, test the Brix reading again. If it raises, okay, it's in the compost. Why is it not doing the right thing to the soil. That's what you want to look and see, okay? And I make a wild guess, city water. I'm just going to say city water.
I think Serena is really progressing with what she's been doing, because she has went out and she has gotten the bricks meter. She has gotten the compost. She's doing all the things. And I think in a lot of ways, it's once you're there, but you keep, as a human being, we keep going, well, what can I do? What can I do? And sometimes you don't need to do anything. Once you have that true living soil, you're just,
it's amazing. Once you learn how to make the stuff, you can tell. See, I stopped doing lab reports. I stopped doing anything else because I have vision. I can see. Wow, look at this. You can see it. You can see that the plant's like, oh, I can breathe again. I'm working, but it takes a while to heal. So they'll get the hit, and then they'll start to. You have to give. That's why the foliar feeding is the key to it. You got to give it the foliar. They get the food, and at the same time, it's going to take. It could take you years to get that soil back in shape again. It could be so much toxins in there. How can you eliminate toxins, right? So that toxin is going to get transferred. That's a slow process too. You have to be real careful with that stuff. You have to stop the process of any chemicals coming in. City water, right there. Every city,
anything that kills biology, stop.
Exactly right. The chemical fertilizers. There's so much stuff, but right there in front of you that people don't get is the city water. That is what's causing the damage. If you was to take a soil test and test the soil, we have a lab we work with, and we had them on our show. They would show you the salts, because that's the salts stay in the ground forever until you remove them. And those salts are what's the toxic, level. You know what I mean? At the level of this toxicity.
Well, so it really depends on a lot of different factors, guys. But we try to cover all of this stuff, and we covered a lot of this stuff on the Soil Matters with Leighton. But Andy, we're at the hour. I got to let the people know tomorrow the ladies from Chiropractic Are Sexy is back. And then on Saturday, I have Wacky out of the UK is coming on with me on Conversations in Ken's Cafe. We should have Dr. Paula Ruffin back on for Sunday. Monday, we have Tom Landry coming on. We're going to talk more about his horizontal soil system. And then the Monday after that, we've actually got a full panel on the horizontal soil system. So you guys are going to want to check that out. But Andy, say peace out, brother. I'm ending the stream, guys. Take care.